Really don't know. Mark will be joining us here in just a second. And then Terrell Davis, the Hall of Famer, right after that as we are in the midst of a Bronco Reaction Monday. Just a gut-wrenching loss. And you said last week that it really didn't matter how the Broncos, if the Broncos lost, it wouldn't change your opinion of the Broncos moving forward. I wonder if this loss was so painful. It was the kind of loss that you couldn't see, you couldn't even think about. Does that change your mind about this moving forward? Was this loss just too painful to overcome?
I don't think it will be. Now, I got my concern there that we're going to see a team that possibly has a little bit of a hangover from that football game. But I really, that's just me being nervous, Nelly. I think this football team has what it takes. This coaching staff, they've been through it before, and so I believe that they'll be able to put this one to bed and move on from it. Take some positives, because there was some positives from this football game. Certainly, a lot of things, a lot of positives. Bo handled himself very nicely. I thought, hey, we'll talk about with TD coming up here in about 10 minutes. Our Hall of Famer, Ambassador Terrell Davis, Aldrich Estime. I mean, he ran the ball nicely, and Schlereth, got to give him a little credit. Do that now, not when he's on the show. He was calling for that last week, and he liked what he saw last week, and I kind of woo-wooed it and said, he's not the answer. But he looked good. Defensively, I mean, getting after Patrick Mahomes. A lot of those guys were getting after him up front, hit him a lot, got to him a lot. So there was a lot of positives to take away from this football game. I'm concerned here with the Falcons. We haven't played well at home, Mike.
No.
We have started slow.
That's a good point.
Panthers game, the Raiders game, obviously the Chargers game. We just haven't played well at home overall for whatever reason. And so there's a concern level there just because we just haven't played well at home.
Well, can I give you a possible silver lining to all this?
Oh, I love it. Love it.
Had they won yesterday, would they be ripe for a letdown coming home against Atlanta, against a Falcons team coming off a very disappointing loss themselves on the road at New Orleans? Might they have been prone to be knocked off next week? Huh? How's that?
That's awful.
Is
Mike.
that good?
No, that's awful. That's terrible.
How about that for a spin
terrible.
job?
No silver lining there.
It didn't feel.
Give me the win.
It didn't feel right while I was saying it.
Yeah, I could tell.
I know.
I could tell. That was a good try.
I know.
Good effort, but that was terrible. That was terrible. No. If they get, this is a big one. But you look at you start, because I'm looking ahead, and this is why it hurts so much more, because you look at the playoff picture and where you would be because Cincinnati lost. Your three teams you're battling with pretty much Cincinnati and Indy, and that's the three teams, and the Broncos. I'm already giving the Chargers. I'm already saying the Chargers are in. So I'm looking at those three teams, and I'm saying we got to pull against those two teams, and where you could have been if you won that game at 6-4 compared to 5-5. But you got Indy, you got Cincy on the schedule, right? So everything is still out in front of you if you're the Denver Broncos, and that's the good news. The bad news is you gave one away, okay? Sometimes that happens in the NFL. You've got to turn the page. You got to play a good football game and find a way to get a win against the Falcons.
But in the process of giving one away, as painful as it was, did you show in your ability to go into Arrowhead and play the Chiefs like that for 59 minutes and 59 seconds, that if you can do that, then you can look at anybody else left on your schedule and say, why can't we beat them?
Certainly, yeah. I believe that. But I don't think they needed to do that to have that belief. I don't. You
don't think so?
No, I don't. I think this team is a confident group. I think they believe in themselves and what they're doing. And so I don't think that they needed that. I really don't. But if they did, if they needed that, Mike, yeah. Yeah, if they didn't have that belief in themselves, then certainly going on the road against Andy Reid, an undefeated Chiefs team, Patrick Mahomes, and playing that way, then hopefully that will be a positive for them.
All right, let us bring in Stink. Stink, give me one word to describe what you saw yesterday.
Just disappointing.
Really?
I mean, I was encouraged.
I come up with something stronger than that.
No, I mean, like, it's just so Chiefs. Like, they just find a way to win when they have to find a way to get some. Like, I remember that Atlanta game where it looked like they're going to lose against Atlanta. I think it was Nick Bolton that ran through on a 4th down and 1, made a tackle in the backfield. Like, it's last week against Tampa Bay when they win the coin toss and Baker Mayfield rolls his eyes, just like, we're going to get beat. And then it's the 35-yard field goal. With 1 second left. The Broncos are winning that game. They are winning that game. And to have that breakdown, Forsyth just gets run through like poop through a goose. And to get that field goal blocked, it just was like, oh, my gosh, deflating. At the same time, you went into Arrowhead, a tough place to play, one of the toughest places in the National Football League to play, and you dominated that football game. Dominated it. And come away with a loss. It just is. It is. It's depressing.
Yeah, Mark, were you ever on the field goal unit like Forsyth was there? He plays center slash guard. Were you more interior guy there? What did he do wrong? Because that guy got under him and just ran right through him. What did he need to do better there?
I played that position, left tackle, for 6 years in Denver on PAT field goal.
Okay, love it. What did he do wrong?
Oh, he didn't give a plant foot. Like, on your feet, you keep your back foot. You have to actually drop it back and anchor down. So you got to anchor on that. You just can't stand there. I have no idea what he was doing, but he's just like, he's got his arm on the back of his offensive guard, and he basically does not move his feet at all. He doesn't plant one of his feet back. You step in, you plant back, so that you've created like a anchor, so you can't get run over. I played that position 6 years in Denver, and we never gave up, a block or much pressure over there. It's so foreign to me to watch him just get run over like he got run over. And I understand it's a hard job. Like I said, I was always on PAT field goal. In Washington, I was at the guard position, so I was inside. But in Denver, I moved out to the tackle position. And, again, he just did not move his feet. He did not create an anchor at all. And the result is there's probably 4 guys could have blocked that PAT or that field goal. Yeah.
So, Stink, after the game, Andy Reid kind of hinted that they had seen something in their scouting that they saw that they felt that they might be able to exploit. Our Andrew Mason went back, looked at the last 10 kicks that the Broncos have attempted, and in 8 of the 10, Forsyth got either planted or definitely pushed back. Is this something that Sean Payton and West Hoff and the other 19 special teams coaches that they have on this staff, were they aware of this weak link? Or were they aware of it and they just didn't feel like they had a better alternative to put out there?
Yeah, well, they should have been aware of it. And the other thing is, kicking from that hash, that's where you're going to get the rush. So when you're on that right hash, you're going to get the rush over to left tackle, left guard. That's the way it comes. So if you kick from the other hash, it goes to the other side. So, but obviously it's the way your kicker feels most confident. He feels most confident about kicking from that hash, the way his legs swing. So, bottom line is, you should know that's a weak link. You should know when you've given up pressure. You should know that that's a problem. And that should have been addressed before it got to that point. It shouldn't, it'll be addressed now.
Great.
But now it's too late.
Yeah.
Now it's it should have been addressed before that. It is just incredibly disappointing. And, and Westhoff is one of those guys that's been around this game for a very, very long time. That should have been something that was recognized and dealt with before you got to this point.
Yeah, but the question is, do you have any other options besides Forsyth? How many you dress out 8 offensive linemen for a game, Mark? Something like that.
Yeah.
And you'll have sometimes you got your tight ends on the outside of the tackle player. But other than that, you use offensive linemen, really. And so you don't have, I probably would say you don't have a lot of other options in this situation to replace him with someone else.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, obviously you use your guys, and you're right. Sometimes you'll take out, on off one of your starters, but for the most part, all your guys play, and then like you said, all of your offensive linemen come in there and play. But bottom line, it has nothing to do. Like, to me, it has everything to do with technique and nothing to do with the guy playing there. Like that. It's one of those jobs that it's miserable because you just have to sit there and get run into. But if you do the right technique, the odds of you giving up any pressure if your technique is good is almost zero.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't happen that often. So you might give up a little pressure. They might get a little push on you. But if you do it the right way, the fact that neither of his feet move is beyond me, because that's like you got to be able to anchor yourself down, and he basically just sat there and got trucked.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, this is the thing. I've watched it, I feel like 5,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
You have a linebacker. This guy is a linebacker that rushes through him, puts him on his back, and still is able to launch himself and block the field goal. He did it all. He was the same guy that put Forsythe on his back, and then he's able to jump and block the field goal. And you're right, Mark. This is not a defense. This is a linebacker that just went right through him and made that play. But Forsythe's just standing there. Like, he didn't anchor himself at all. He just just absorbed the blow, and it's a 240-pound linebacker that did it to him. That's just unacceptable.
Yeah, normally the way we would do that is your inside leg on that, so it would be his right leg, right? One, I don't understand his hand on the back of his offensive guard. That makes no sense to me. So normally the way we do it is your helmet goes inside. So like where your right leg is, your hat inside, you keep your left leg planted so people have to jump over it, and then your hat inside, your left hand out and try to stab people out there, and then you take your right foot and you step in and drop it back a little bit for the anchor. So that's the technique that is used, and it's used 100% of the time. And if you watch any PAT field goal, it'll be the same damn technique used by every guy. And he just stood both feet. Neither of his feet ever moved. He just got trucked.
It is time to bring in our Hall of Famer, our Rambassador. Monday Mornings with TD, presented by Colorado Credit Union. Terrell Davis joins us on the Johnson Auto Plaza hotline. TD, good morning. This one stings. This one hurts. This one sucks. There's all kinds of words to use to describe it. Are you able to find any? You're our silver linings guy. You've always been our silver linings guy. Can you find any after this one?
No, that's true. I think, of course, Mike. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, man. I think there is, man. This is, you go to Kansas City, which is a place I call the House of Horrors. You take them to the end, and essentially, man, you have a perfect ending, 5-minute drive, or when you take the ball down as planned and you set yourself up for a game-winning field goal. It just didn't happen. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but for some reason, deep down inside of me, I'm like, something bad is about to happen. Just because, I don't know. It was just that sense of feeling like there was going to be something that happened bad, and obviously it did. But I would say I remember back in '97 thinking, you were on that team too, playing in Kansas City, which has been a tough place to play, and we lose the game. They kick a field goal. I think it was Pete Stoyanovich, I believe. They kick a field goal and beat us in the last seconds of the game, and kind of a walk-off field goal, right? And the feeling we had with that one was we walked away thinking, you know what, we lost that game, but we felt really good about that. We thought that we outplayed them, and we essentially won that game. So it kind of carried over because we knew we'd play them again when we did. We played them again in the playoffs. We had to go back to Kansas City. And so I think there is something you can take from that. No one saw Denver in this position with this game. And I hope the players and the coaches are saying, you know what, guys, man, we won this game. We didn't get to make the field goal, but we won this game. And I think you can take that, knowing that you beat the Chiefs last year. You essentially beat them this year. This is a different team, man. And to me, my takeaway was that this team is built right. This team, they've got what it takes, man. And so I'm pretty encouraged by that. You didn't win this game, but you know what? You play them again, and let's see what happens, man. But again, go back to work, man. Like I said last week, losing a game to Baltimore, go back to work. Don't worry about it. Know that this team is made up of the right stuff, and keep trying to move forward.
Yeah, I thought that part was encouraging, that they went toe-to-toe. They really pressured Mahomes. They really dominated this game, and it was an unfortunate mishap on the field goal at the end of the game because they should have come away out of Kansas City with a win. But I want to turn it to the running back position, and I had said last week in my Telestrated Tuesday that it was time to move on and maybe give Estime the majority of the carries or start Estime. I thought he looked pretty good. How'd you make out the just the way they decided to divvy up the division of labor at the running back position against the Chiefs?
Yeah, it's looking like they're starting to move a little bit away from Javonte and started getting Estime involved more. Looked decent. I mean, it wasn't great. Had some good runs. But again, nothing just jumping off the screen to me. But had a little bit more sort of leg drive. Broke some tackles. But again, I think he's just getting started. I think for me, obviously watching him is, especially like in the last couple of minutes of the game, was, man, squeeze that rock. Squeeze that rock, dude. They know he's had some challenges with that, and they were gonna go after that. But good job with not putting that ball on the carpet. But I think the more he gets involved, try to get him a little bit more carries and rhythm. I think he's got what it takes.
Yeah, I mean, that shows you that the coaching staff, how much they trust him to leave him in, a rookie with a fumbling issue in that situation. And he delivered. I thought I'm with you, TD. I thought he did a good job. We'll see what it looks like moving forward. Any concern for you, TD, that this game could linger and all of a sudden you just see another or a poor performance Sunday against the Falcons?
I don't get that. So I just don't. I'm watching this team. I really have been impressed with the makeup of this team, the mental makeup, and how they have just. You think about it. What game have we really seen them this year where you're like, these guys have checked out? They're not really prepared to play. I haven't seen that, and I just watch them and think every single week, this team has what it takes from the mental standpoint. Sean has done a really good job with them, preparing them for games, and for the most part, they've been prepared and they've been ready to play. And so like I just said, I think this is one where I believe they'll take some of the good that came from this. And even though, I know it's the moral victory Monday, I'm not with that, but you got to take something from negative, outcomes. You got to be able to take something, otherwise, you'll never grow. But to get out of Kansas City knowing that you essentially beat them, I think would be a huge boost for this team moving forward. You got the Falcons next game, not going to be an easy one, but no, I had no concern for me, so that this team is going to have some lingering effect on how they proceed going forward.
Okay, I got three offensive guys with me right now. Help me understand this. Why is this team so bad offensively, not only to start second halves, but just these last 2 weeks, no points in the second half? Maybe if they'd been able to put together a couple of scoring drives in the second half, we're not even talking about Alex Forsythe getting blown up like he did. What's going on in the second half, TD? First three drives of the second half yesterday, they had a combined 12 yards of total offense. What are you seeing?
I don't know, man. It's just, they go these 3 and outs are killing them. They're just not executing what the game plan. I can't put my finger on what the issues are. They start the games kind of slow. Second halves are always slow. I don't know, Mike. I really can't put my finger on it to see why this team does that. But it's been a challenge. I mean, you can go through this game and look at a couple of plays, right? How about Zach Allen, right? How about making an interception? I mean, this dude handed you the ball. How about that? How about Nick Benito bringing down Patrick Mahomes when he's got him right in his grasp, right? So you can go through this game and just point at a couple of plays that could have been the difference. But when it's all said and done, dude, you had the perfect ending to a game. You had what you came here to do. Hold the ball. You got the last seconds of the game. You're in basically extra point range, 35-yard field goal. Make the kick. Just make the well, he didn't miss the kick. Block somebody. And it looks like his leg got tripped up when he took his left leg back stink when he was trying to block. When he got hit so hard, he had to replant his left leg, and that got tripped up over looks like it was over that number. I think it was 94, I believe. I'm not sure, 79. But yeah, I mean, just if you execute, man, then we're not having this conversation, man. But when you lose, you always got to go back and try to find out what was the bigger issues in the game. But I just thought that, man, they had the perfect ending to a game.
Yeah, you know what? I think the whole execution standpoint, if you go back through, the third quarter, that first drive, it's second down and 7, and Estime breaks a 17-yard gain, and Powers gets, a holding call. And that ruins the drive. And then you get to the second drive, and they're motoring on the second drive, and they get into a 2nd and 6, and they get a 10-yard gain from Bo Nix to Kroll, and da-da-da-da, and on it goes. And then all of a sudden, you've got an incomplete pass that Sutton, I think, dropped, and then you got Mims for the -1 on the I think it was a little swing pass, and then you give up a sack for 16 yards. Like, little things like that, and that's your two possessions in the third quarter. And when you have those mistakes, you just can't afford to have that kind of those kind of mistakes when you're a team that doesn't have huge margins of error.
So, TD, last question. You feel confident this loss won't linger to the point where they have a hangover next Sunday against a Atlanta team that'll be pretty upset themselves after losing a game they should not have lost?